Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heroes World Quarantine podcast. I'm your host, Stupe. We are here with an ensemble of characters and ne'er-do-wells and savages. So here we are to talk about the console wars. So that's what we're going to discuss today. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, all the thoughts and tribulations with that. So X going to give it to you. Thanks.
Look at Rob pretending to play video games.
Yeah.
It's like whenever you watch movies and guys are like going like this, and you're like, you're not playing.
This is our 80s introduction.
The light's not even on.
John, you ruined it again. This is our 80s introduction. I was going to let Rob play until I mentioned his name, and then he'd look over and be
and then
surprised.
He turns over?
I was. Stuart completely had it.
I had it.
Go, John.
I had it ready to go. So
it blocked me.
We're going to try it again. Anyways, so again, for those who are not aware, this is the Heroes World podcast. It's basically a conversation about all things geek, pop culture, and today, video games. These are all things we like to do and talk about. And if you ever attend the store in Markham, you'll see Andre and John at times on a console chatting with people and playing games. Andre recently is playing Mass Effect. This is the thing that's happening. These are the conversations that we would have in the store. We are just recording them and sharing them with the world. So hopefully this will help give you some insights into what console is right for you. If not, just enjoy, listen, and comment everything below. So we are here, of course, with the owners of the store, John and Andre. Please say hello to the people at home.
Hello.
We are here with the Prince of Mischief himself, Rob.
Hello, Stuart.
Thank you. Perfect. And we're here with two special guest stars, Patrick Wong. Say hello.
You gotta talk, smarty.
Oh, okay, yeah.
For the people
I
that are
wasn't sure
listening,
if he was letting me talk. I was just waiting.
Yeah, for the people that are not watching on YouTube, it's
We're
nice
listening.
To hear your voice listening. And finally, newly married man, Timbo Slice. Here we go.
Hey, Tim.
Oh,
Congratulations,
hello.
buddy.
Hi, honey.
Oh, boy. And Tim's no longer with us for the rest of the show.
Tim, don't listen to him. Rob is a veteran of 15 years. He doesn't know what's anything anymore. So, okay, let's go. So, news dropped recently in regards to the pricing plan and some of the launch titles and all this information about the PS5. So we thought it'd be a great opportunity to go into both. The pre-orders have also dropped for both. Some with a little bit of issues. We're not going to name names, but there were some issues. So I'm going to go in to just have a basic conversation about the systems. But we're going to start about the biases first, because everyone here owns a system, and I want to get out of the way. I'll start with Tim. Tim, and another caveat. We're only talking about PS and Xbox. Don't PS math, PC master race us. We know PC is the greatest, best thing on. No debate, PCs are the best. But if you had to buy a console outside of a Switch, these are the two options you have, and removing that as well. So Switch is a whole nother conversation. But in terms of a PlayStation or Xbox, what do you currently own, Tim, and what is your preference?
I currently own a Switch.
Yeah,
I don't own an Xbox or a PS right now.
Have you ever owned a PlayStation?
So I was always an Xbox guy from the very first one with the big giant one with the big Duke controller, and I used to play it where I would have like my fingers all contorted so I could hit all the buttons that I needed to play Ghost Recon. I was always an Xbox guy. Xbox 360. They lost me at Xbox One, and I dropped off. But that was my allegiance before.
And did you own a PlayStation while owning an Xbox, or just always?
I think I had a PlayStation 1 for a while. I used to work at a video game store, so I used to just take home whatever system I wanted to play for a while to play whatever game. So probably I remember having a PlayStation a lot to play Final Fantasy VII, of course. But I don't know that I ever technically owned it.
Okay. All right. We'll get back to you. Andre, do you own either a PlayStation or Xbox, or both? And which is your favorite?
So I own both. I'm pretty much I want to play the best games out there. and so if there's good exclusives on any console, I tend to pick it up. But my go-to console is the Xbox. Pretty much think it's an all-around. I enjoy the system a lot better. More of my friends are on Xbox Live, but yeah, I just, from the controller down to the interface and stuff, I just enjoy the Xbox experience a lot better. And I don't want to pay for 2 subscription services, so I pretty much just play the exclusives on the PS5. But I usually own every system, but that might change with this generation.
Yep, got it. Rob, where are you at when it comes to
Right there, Sony.
Mm-hmm.
I've my history obviously inside from the 80s and everything else, the NES and
Yeah, we don't have time to go
SNES.
back to Atari and freaking all that shit, Rob.
Yeah, I got that as well, John. I still have it in my closet. So I had the PS1, went to the Xbox, the original, like Tim said, the big brick, and then did the 360, which I still have it in my office here, and then PS4. So I've gone through a few different iterations, right?
So you don't own a current gen Xbox, you only own a Sony.
Yeah,
PS4.
just a PS4.
Yep.
Yeah, I have the 360 just for a little Gears of War every once in a while, but yeah, PS4 is my allegiance right now in the last few years.
John, what is your current situation?
I do have both systems, but the Xbox One, does it count? Do you own it if you haven't touched it since launch?
Yeah, you technically own it, so it counts.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I do own it. I should have sold it a long time ago. But I used to be ride or die Xbox with Andre, and then when PS4 came around, flipped over to pure PlayStation.
Because of Street Fighter, admit it.
Yes, Street Fighter 5 exclusive to PS4, iced the deal.
Okay. Pat, you're a cleanup. What are you at, buddy?
I have both. I
He
go
has
with
everything on the planet, though.
Yeah, you can tell by
that's
the
different
shelves
conversation.
behind.
That's
Yes.
a different conversation.
Yes.
Pardon?
But which one is your preference? Because you
Right
own both.
now, the PlayStation, purely because of the games. Like I have an Xbox strictly for like the 4 exclusives, and one of the exclusives is no longer an exclusive, so it doesn't really matter. Right?
Okay.
So
Which one you're talking about?
Cuphead. I bought a PlayStation specific. I bought an Xbox specifically to play Cuphead, but then they released it on every other system.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite a hardcore game too. Unforgiving. Okay, so if you watch any of the massive E3 NES video conferences that they've had the last few weeks / months, it's really difficult to see what each brand is doing, because I guess the nice thing when we used to have E3 was that everything was dropped all at once and you could really do a cross comparison. But with these separate individual events, people are just dripping information slowly, and it really requires you to do a lot more research, which is why we decided to do this podcast, because there's a lot of stuff, and if you didn't know, like John, you don't know. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So the pricing scale, the systems are different. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then get people's thoughts on what direction they want to go into. Clearly, by the conversation we've already had, everyone here is a true gamer, so I don't anticipate too many people going for the cheaper system. But let's go into detail about that. So PlayStation just recently dropped its information. The PS5 Digital Edition, which is the console, pretty much the exact same specs with no disk drive, is selling in Canada for $499, $400 in the US. And then the standard edition with the drive is $629 Canadian. And that is, again, the specs are exactly the same. The only difference is that it doesn't have a CD drive. Also, in terms of the availability, there are less amount of the digital edition. There's, I think, 1/6 of them, and they're really not making that many of them compared to the standard. No surprise, GameStop and everyone else is like, please don't make too many. We need to survive, and we need you to give in old CDs and discs. So that's one of the things. Compared to the Xbox, which there's now a drastic change, which is the Xbox Series X, which is the lower downgraded version, which is $499 US, $599 Canadian, and Xbox Series S, which is the lower end one, which is $599. Series S, which is $379 Canadian, $299. So the X is the higher one. The S is the lower end version. My apologies.
And what
Can I
a
just say, though, that
choice of
you're-
naming. Just confusing Series X and Series S. They really dropped the ball.
So
on
the
that.
S is the white version. The X is the black version. So the black
monolith.
version is the giant monolith black matted box. It has the ventilation system at the top, and inside people thought it was a green light, but actually it's just green paint inside of it, that if you look at an angle, you'll see the green circle.
Cheated it.
So I'm like, oh, this is really cool. There'll be a green light that comes out. No, it's just a paint job they did. So that is the difference. In terms of storage, there will be a difference in storage in terms of the system. The Xbox S and the X, they're different. The specs are basically that the lower end version will not run on 4K. It will run on 144p. The frame rate is similar. The storage for the digital edition is a little bit more, or a little bit less. So it's like 512 as compared to the standard edition. 10 gigs of RAM, similar in terms of specs, but it is a lower version than the PS5 or even the regular edition. So I can't imagine any of you guys buying the lower end version. You're going to buy the higher end version. But did any of the videos or anything else sway you in terms of what system that you're going to get going forward? Because again, the hot button topic through every one of these conferences is ecosystem. So did any of them kind of persuade you to go a different direction? Tim, you are an Xbox guy, so are you going to even consider going to the lower end, or are you just going full up into the high end version?
So if I do pick a system,
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point, if I do pick a system based on what I've been looking at, I would go PlayStation now. I think I would make that jump.
Ooh.
The Xbox, well, because I guess we'll talk about exclusives and stuff later, right? But I don't know. Xbox lost me in Xbox One generation. I didn't like what they did with a few things, so I kind of hopped off the train there. And then now looking at it, especially like preparing for today's conversation, I was looking a little bit more in detail. I'd probably say PlayStation, but I do want to comment though on that lower end Xbox. I feel like that's a real ripoff for people, man. I like for $100 difference or whatever. What's the difference? $120, $130?
Yeah, 100
really,
something.
I would really caution anyone from getting that, but because it's not going to run the games the same, and so you're going to be at a. I got to disagree with that. I think it's not a purchase for guys like us. People who are into games and stuff like that. But I think if you watch their press conferences and as they talk about it, it's actually marketing a different. It's an actually different console to fit a different demographic.
Yep.
To say it's a weaker console than the new Series X, 100%, but it's actually stronger than the current Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a decent system, and at that price point, really what Microsoft is doing is they're selling you a digital console for less, and they want you to sign up for Game Pass, and that's where the Xbox is going to shine, is because you're basically telling people for $500 you are going to have access to our whole catalog of games, period, end stop. And for somebody who's a casual gamer or their kids want a console and they don't want to have to be forking out $90 a game, I think it's going to be really hard not to look at that console and the Game Pass service. So again, maybe like I wouldn't be interested in it, but let's say I had to buy a console for my nephews. Like I said, it's stronger than my current Xbox console, it's digital, so they can't break discs, and giving them Game Pass, they'll have access to like so many games that it's I think it's a great value. I think it clutters the marketplace a little bit, but it is going to give people, look, there's a lot of people who that $150 Canadian is going to make a big difference, right? So yeah,
There's a lot of factors that also have to come into effect, Andre, as to your point. Like, all your points are very valid, but it also depends on your internet access, because unless you have all you can eat internet, unlimited, the
Fast.
that may also affect the Game Pass itself, because again, games are not small games.
But
There's
dude,
still a couple of gigs. So again,
Some updates are 60 gigs.
Yeah.
well, to be
You
fair
have
to Andre's point, so the new system, because it's not running on 4K and it's on 1080 or 1044, what I was saying before, the games will be smaller because it will not require such high definition assets. So they said that because of that, it'll be more manageable. At the end of the day, it's still, if you're in a city with decent internet and it's unlimited, you're in a very good place. But if you're farther out and the internet is slow, it could take you a while to download something.
But
nonetheless.
that's the exact same thing. If you have not good internet, even when you buy a disc game,
Yes.
you
Still requires.
So if your internet is intermittent, you are not buying these new consoles. Period. So I think that's kind of out of the equation. And also, like, again, if you're buying one or two games a year or whatever, those games update all the time. If you're playing Fortnite, that thing updates almost every 2 days. So realistically, it's like saying I can play video games without the internet. You can play your Switch. That's pretty much it, and even then, like, they still have updates on their games.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to jump in just to kind of support Andre's position, and is that the one thing, and maybe we'll talk about later, Stu, I don't know, is, Andre makes a good point about the Game Pass, but there's also this monthly service, much like you do with your phone, that Xbox is unveiling. So over 24-month period for the Xbox S, I think it's like $33 a month. So you're paying again, like a phone plan, right? Yep. You're paying your $33 a month or $35 a month in Canada, but they've also integrated Game Pass into that. So for a 24-month period, for 2 years, you're paying $35 a month. You're getting a system plus Game Pass. I think that there will be a decent sized market where that is going to be very appealing, maybe to parents of younger kids, who are in primary school, or some people who just who can't fork out $500 off the top. They're going to be like, yeah, I'll pay the $33. Like, that is a very appealing number and option for a fair amount of people.
And it does include EA properties. So they made a partnership. So it's like a discounted, like $5 incorporated cost for, I think, 60 potentially EA games. So there is potential for that too.
Basically, I'll speak a little bit of this as the.
But Andre, we'll get to it in a second, because I think we need to continue on with people. There's lots of time to go through it, but I think
So Tim's going to get the X.
Yeah. So we get to it. So Andre, now I'm going back to you. So you've already kind of made yourself a little clear as to what direction you're going into. But is it safe to assume you're going back to an Xbox?
I think eventually. Usually, I'm an early adopter. Usually, I'd be out day one, pre-ordering both consoles or whatever console on the release date. I think this time around, though, you can wait. There's no killer apps coming for any of these consoles, and I think as we were talking before when we were doing the idea for this podcast, I think Sony's most recent show was like I don't want to say a cluster F, but to me it was pitiful. There's literally no killer apps at all. All their exclusives there's nothing at launch. They want you to pick up.
There are launch games, and we'll get to it slowly.
Sorry, there's no game that makes me want to buy the system. Now, when the system was announced, I was like, I am in for the PlayStation because I want Horizon Zero Dawn, I want Ratchet and Clank, and I want the new Spider-Man game. And then they just announced that Spider-Man and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 are going to be on my PS4. perfect. So now I don't need your 5. And Ratchet and Clank is not a launch title. So again, I don't have to rush out day one to buy this system for it to collect dust until there's something I want to play on it.
Well, also to be fair, you have to pre-order and they're all sold out anyways. So it's not like you were going to be able to get it right now.
Well,
so we'll jump to the next. Yeah, that's the other.
Some of these answers could be sour grapes, Stu. They could just be
You could
couldn't
give
get
it-
it anyways. I didn't want you anyways.
Yeah. So, but to the future point, so you're going to end up just buying both anyways, right, Andre? Eventually, in the next 3 years, or is there?
I would. You know what? It'll really determine whether when Ratchet and Clank comes out.
Okay.
Because I really don't see anything on their docket that's gonna come out in the next 2 years that interests me. But beside that, like a remake of Demon's Souls, thanks. Oh, hey, here's their version of PlayStation Plus with all the games anybody who's played PlayStation 4 has. Thanks. That's literally giving you like nothing. Whereas Xbox they coined a deal. You get Game Pass, you get all EA, and that because EA just folded in on EA Access, and then they just teamed up with Bungie to give all Game Pass members Destiny. So again, you may not like the games, but the amount of games that you have access to with it is huge for that person who may not be super hardcore, but says I want to sample everything at the buffet table.
But to be fair, for a guy like Tim, who was an Xbox guy, that is a really value add if he jumps to the PS5, because the games that maybe he wasn't playing on the PlayStation 4 now he'll have access to. So it is kind of a selling point to get.
You probably won't play stuff that's that old anyways. You're going to go back and play
the last gen. But again, if you haven't played it, console exclusives. Okay, well, you're going to get both, so that's the end. Got it. Rob, to you, the floor is yours. Are you going to go back to Sony, or are you considering an Xbox?
No. It's Sony. It's a PS5 all the way. Those exclusives that they've had, the games that I've played the last number of years, I enjoyed my Xbox original one. I enjoyed the 360, but Sony was killing it. Naughty Dog exclusive to Sony. Yeah, I'm going Sony PS5 all the way.
Okay.
And I'll keep my answer short and sweet on that one.
John?
So sweet.
John, it's your turn now.
John's just basking in the quietness.
I know.
He's smiling. He's like, guys, mine's so sweet.
I got
my sweet line in, and then as he sits quietly in the background.
John's not sure. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet.
What are we talking about again? What are we at? What's the question?
I know what I'm getting.
Mystique and Cyclops.
In a romantic comedy together.
No, Mystique could be in any movie. That'll be the
Cyberpunk.
end of phase 10 that she's been playing everybody. Yeah, I'm actually going to go. Not a popular decision, I guess, from this panel. It looks like I would go Xbox S because I am now in that casual gamer group, and I don't need the disc drive because that shit's just going to break on me. Like, I don't know if anyone has a PS4 and their disc drive goes like if you don't have a disc.
What does it do again, John?
It sounds like your mom. No, I'm just joking.
Wow! Oh. Wow!
No, but that drive right now, every once in a while goes crazy like that. So that's gonna break. And I've had physical discs, and sometimes I don't get to them. Like, someone got me a copy of Gears of War for Christmas, and I didn't get to it till I don't know how long after, 6 months after. Popped it in my system, it was installing, and then it had a disk error. So I'm like, what do I do now? I'm screwed. What do? I email whatever and try to get a replacement disk. I can't go and return it. So I'm and pretty much everything I buy is digital anyways. I know it sucks because if you buy a game, like I bought a game recently, and you don't like it, you're screwed. That's gone. Like, you can't go trade it in. You can't pass it along to a friend. You're kind of effed. But for what you guys were talking about, you guys make good points about it. For me to get in on the entry level and be able to play games with you guys and save $150, I'm going to do that. And I don't have a 4K fancy TV. Ideally, my situation is I actually play on a computer monitor because like lag issues and yada yada yada. Like there's a couple games that might come out that are going to kind of blow this up. So I assume we're going to get into games.
Yep.
But other than that, just looking at pure system wise, that S fits into exactly what I want. If you go look at my PlayStation 4 history, it's probably all going to be my kids watching Netflix on it anyways. So do I need to spend an extra $150 for Netflix to be 4K compatible or able? No, it's not worth it. And the controller, like I'm a PS4 guy right now, but the Xbox controller with a thumbstick up here and the other one down here is like 100 times better. I wish I could transplant that on my PlayStation 4, and I've looked into it. It's very expensive to do, so I'm not going to be doing that. Yeah. So, but that PlayStation controller, like Rob can hold his up, the two thumbsticks on the lower portion suck.
Yeah.
This thumbstick here, I can't grab Rob's controller, but right here sucks.
So can I ask though, John, like as a owner of a small business, as a retailer though, purchasing games from a physical retail location, supporting small businesses, supporting local businesses, does that not play into your decision at all though when you decide to go digital?
I would like to, but I don't buy enough games to make it worth it for me. I get a game like here and there. If I was buying on the constant like Pat, and having this like the benefit of having a physical copy is like amazing. Like I said, you trade it in, pass it along to a friend.
Yeah.
The digital one, yeah, definitely the magic is not there. Look at Pat's panning across his whole collection, which I'm so jealous of. Like even my old games that I've resold and got rid of, I wish I had them so that they were physically there. But just for what I do right now, I don't buy enough that the EB is even going to notice that I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. I do admit that does play into my decision though, and like as much as I can, I've been trying to buy physical because I just especially in today's times and stuff like that, like I want to support businesses, not even the businesses, because you can say like EB Games isn't a small business, but the people that work there, the part-time staff, right? Like you want to kind of continue to give them jobs. And I made the point before we started the call, but Stu, if you don't mind, I'll say it now. That $150 difference on that physical drive, assuming it doesn't break, eventually you would make that up with trade-in value on your games too.
Totally.
Right? Like you said, like I've bought in some physical games where I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. And thank goodness I can just go and trade that in, right? And at least I get some money back for my bad decision.
No, they offer wicked services. Like you can play it for like a week, and if you don't like it, you can get like like everything back minus 10% or something like that. That's amazing. But I don't consume enough games to make it worth it for me anymore.
Good point.
You're a Sony guy. Are you continuing with Sony?
I am probably going to start with Sony first. I'll end up getting an Xbox the moment an exclusive comes out that I really want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But generally with the launch lineup, and the thing we were talking about launch windows, like no, I don't remember any system recently having a really, really, really good launch title, like launch setup. Like what did the 360
does a good job, but they're not in this conversation. Yeah. So like but the PS3 dropped with Lair as a launch title. So
it had Heavenly Sword too, didn't it?
Pardon?
Didn't have Heavenly Sword and
Lair and
Heavenly Sword and Lair.
Those were decent games. They were new IPs. They were decent games.
I think 360 was a Call of Duty game, if I recall correctly.
And it was a racing game as well. It was Project Gotham 3.
Oh, Project Gotham.
It was it was Project Gotham and Perfect Dark Zero and Cameo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like all launch titles aren't but as of right now, based on like the pipeline, I'm definitely like going to be getting a PlayStation first.
So here's the question to the panel guys here is that we've seen with the Xbox presentation, they are very consumer friendly. You can use your old controllers. There's backwards compatibility. There's the Game Pass options. Like Andre doesn't have to rebuy an $80 controller, but with PlayStation 5, you got to buy a new controller, an additional controller. Like the cost alone, because you got to imagine each controller is what, $80? If you add that to the console itself, like they're losing money on every console they sell because the controller itself and the console is costing more than the price they're going with. So it's interesting that after listening to you guys and writing the notes about what systems you're going to, like this is not just, the Series X cost is $599, but if you have to buy an additional controller to play with a friend, that's another $80. So there's additional costs that come with it. It's the same thing we talked before about, a Switch. The red herring in the room is that you have to buy extra controllers and Smash Brothers, and that could work out to $800. Or even
Switch, can't you split the controllers and one person can use
yeah, but you
one?
still got to buy more controllers to play if you're going to play with 4 players. So
But John, they're expensive. They're $100 anyways. So
yeah, they're not cheap, but you can play all together. So
but it's technically the only system where you get 2 controllers out of the box.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Because some
but
people
the
were like,
Switch
do the new systems come with 2 controllers? And it's like, well, you're like freaking 5-10 years out of date.
no one has
Systems
2
never come
controllers.
with 2 controllers.
Oh, I guess since Nintendo or Super Nintendo, that was the last time, I guess, when it came with 2, the corded ones.
Yeah.
But now with the batteries, everything that has it, and part of me thinks about the environment. We're building brand new controllers that, frankly, the PS5 controllers have nothing new to them except for a built-in mic, the LNR buttons are a teeny bit different, and now we're just adding more plastic to the environment. For what reason? Like, it's Bluetooth.
I thought I read that the controllers on the PS, the triggers are quite a bit more advanced, right? Well, they say that it's going to be quite remarkable, I believe.
You know what it means? It's more prone to breaking. I don't know how many PS4 controllers you've gone through, but
to Andre's point before, it's like, how long before a studio actually utilizes these brand new functionalities? Because again, if you're a studio and you're making games, unless you're a specific Sony, studio, like, you're not going to make your game that has these special buttons utilized properly, like the trigger.
They're going to force you to use them. They're going to be
Nah,
like,
they
when you
won't.
put this game on my system,
They
you have
tried
to
that
use
with the
functionality.
Kinect, and then they rolled that back, right? Same thing with the Move. Do you guys remember the PlayStation Move? All of like 3 games had it, and then the PlayStation, you could move your controller, and then the games just made an option to take it out. Any controller innovation or any peripheral add-on has literally been made for 1 or 2 games when it came out, and then it drops off. Where are those poor suckers who paid $600 for PlayStation VR?
And
not going to be compatible with your PS5. Right?
So Pat's reaching for his PlayStation VR that's collecting dust.
Yeah.
Is it next to your Virtual Boy?
No, Virtual Boy's in another room.
Yeah.
In all fairness, Andre, like, nobody, and I'm not trying to disrespect Pat by any means, but nobody should be paying more for a peripheral than the system. Like, that to me was always just bananas.
Right, but at the same time, it was the they were first out of the gate for VR, and it was they were touting this as the next big thing. So why put all that R&D into it? And we're still waiting for the Iron Man VR game. How many years later, right? And now there's a new console. So why am I going to buy Iron Man VR when the 5 is around? And why not have at least made it future friendly so your VR could plug into your 5?
And the folks at home who are screaming about Valve and Half-Life Alyx, yes, we get you, but that's PC Master Race. It's a whole different ballgame when you can insert your Oculus into your computer. So we get it. That's a whole different ballgame. But for systems that we're talking about, it's a dicey proposition, because again, there's no reason that the controller should not be able to just go back and forth because it's Bluetooth. Like, what magic thing do you have besides it being white that you're forcing me to buy a $90 new controller if I want to play with someone else? Like, if you're playing Street Fighter, John, you need a second controller. They have to bring their own controller.
No, you need neither. You need a joystick.
And then buy a joystick.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Sony will be like, well, I don't know if you can use this joystick. You have to.
Yeah. There was an issue with PS3 that the joysticks would not upgrade until, like, people wildly complained.
They'll just sell you an adapter later, right? Because that's what's happening with the PS.
Get an adapter, and some games were backwards compatible, but via a lot of funky stuff.
To Andre's point, like the new. If you're a game studio, you're already dealing with resolution difficulties with all these games. If you're do cross-platform, you have to scale differently to all these different games. You're not going to worry about a controller. It's like, oh, well, this left trigger is a little more sensitive. Forget it. We're not worrying about this at all. We're going to just port it over because we don't have the money and the time to worry about this Sony hubbubaloo. So unless it's a Sony specific game, I can't imagine people will worry about that.
But we're not talking about crazy, like, we're not talking about like motion controls or like Kinect you know, the Kinect or the
you're
Move
right.
and stuff like that. We're talking just like some haptic feedback on the controllers, like a little bit more advanced. I feel like it's not going to be crazy for them to implement that. And to Pat's point, I think Sony will probably say like, hey, we want some features added into this, right? So that we can say that this cross-platform or this multi-platform game is a little bit different on our system.
There's
That's what's
only
going to
been
help us sell it.
2 innovations on a controller that I've ever cared about. One, the Rumble Pack made my life. I'm like, ooh, the controller should be awesome. 2, the fact that it was cordless. Other than that, everything else is bunk. Like the fact that like, oh, I can play without a cord and it's rechargeable. And then when they added the LED or the ion battery, and I'm like, this is amazing. I don't have to recharge my Energizer batteries, which I used to do with my Xbox. So other than that, there's no innovation that I care about. Like, is there anything you care about in the controller?
Yes, when the Wii U had an extra screen. It was kind of cool. Not very many.
For football games.
Andre, sorry.
I'm going to say, do you guys remember the Sega Genesis when they brought out their Mark II controller and it was made for Street Fighter with 6 buttons and wireless at the same time? That was the pinnacle, man. That was like, oh my God. That was
just 6 buttons, Jay. Otherwise, you'd have to press start to switch.
Yeah.
No, I remember on my NES, I had a wireless controller that had rapid fire. Man, that thing saved my ass.
Cheating.
Yeah,
that's cheating.
just hold it down, baby.
That's the Tiger Cat brand or whatever.
Yeah,
so good.
Mad Cats.
Brutal Mad Cats.
Cats.
And to be fair, like I look back at the innovation of Dreamcast when we could plug in, and that was way far of its time. But even then, you're like, well, does it really matter? Like, it's cool, but it didn't really change my life. Where I'm like, there's nothing really that really utilized besides a little bit of an avatar that walked around.
The VMU did nothing outside of very, very minor things. Like what happened was it came out at a time where Tamagotchi was really popular.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it gave you a little bit of cross compatibility. Like in Sega Adventure, and I think Sega Adventure 2, you can actually like raise little dudes on your VMU and then plug them in and play with them inside Sonic Adventure. But
it was also
never used it.
But it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
It was also wicked.
That thing never left the controller for me.
Yeah. It was also wicked for Madden because you could pick your plays and your
exactly football games. That was it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. You know.
What play did you choose?
That's it. So,
Hey, Stu.
yeah.
I just want to say I want a PS5.
What?
I just want to get back on track. I want a PS5. I want to talk about everything about this damn system. I'm excited for this stupid system.
Yeah, I know. We got that down. We know that. In terms of the look of the system, does it matter? Of the sleekness to design? Was that any type of sway? Did it matter to you what it looked like at this standpoint? Whether it's a utilitarian matte black block that you could basically bludgeon your enemy to death, or the sleek, PlayStation future device that probably is also wind resistant when you throw out the window. So does it matter to you?
It looks very aerodynamic.
It is look aerodynamic.
That PS5 system is huge. I think The Verge ran an article on Friday with the actual size dimensions. And that thing is massive, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why both of these systems are so huge. I don't get it.
A lot of air ventilation.
I think that there's going to be a lot of people who have difficulty trying to integrate it in their already tricked out entertainment system. You're likely not going to be able to put your PS5, if you get a PS5, on its side. It'll have to be standing upright, much like the Xbox. And I think that we're all mental when we would put our TVs up and our game systems and your surround sound and all that. Oh, good Lord, John, you want all of that stuff, right? You want it all to look like sleek and amazing. And I think that's going to be a problem with these new systems.
It's all heating, Rob. It's all heating. It's all heated. Yeah. All first versions of every generation are way too big or oversized. Yeah. That's why they have slims for every system in history. They've always had a second slimmer version because the first version always has problems with some type of heating. So they put in a bunch of fans, right? They put in a bunch of fans. They put in extra heat sinks. The technology's not there yet, right? Within 2 years, they're going to put out with maybe even a year. They're going to do PlayStation 5 version
Slim.
2.
Yeah. It'll be the Star Wars edition that comes out with the Star Wars game. And I was like, oh, this looks different. It's like, well, actually the fan is different as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree though. I think like my system setup now is very minimalist, and it's I even switched internet providers because I hated their modem and I wanted a different modem. So I
You
switched just for
nerd.
that fact because I just didn't want it cluttering up and all that. And these new systems though, yeah, that is a problem for me, and that may be why I don't early adopt for sure, is because they're too bulky. Like I don't know where that would fit in my system. It's not, my OCD will kill me. It's not going to match everything. Like. Yeah, it's and having to stand it up. Can you not turn this thing on its side? I thought you could.
It's like
Hope you
100
can.
millimeters wide. It's like this big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it can go on its side.
Yes,
Yes.
it can.
Yes.
Both
Okay.
systems can be put on their side. But the interesting thing is the Xbox, it doesn't have a removable stand. So like it's got like a round disc for to have it vertical.
So it'll look like it's fallen over.
If you put it on its side, you can't remove that. So just like visually, it's going to look really weird if you have it on its side.
Oh, you can remove it.
No, you can't.
has-
yes.
It
Johnny,
has
take a
feet
hat
on
off.
it, so it can be placed either way, but you're going to miss the green painted circle on top if you put it on its side.
Not if you
Yeah.
tilt it
I
just
know.
right.
But
Stu.
I think the bigger issue is like I think Tim mentioned it, OCD. I look at that PS5 with the disc drive and it's asymmetrical, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, that is awful design. Like that, it's silly. Like I look at that, would kill me to look at all the time. And even when you put it sideways, it still doesn't look right, So again, I think the design of the discless one is fine, but then they just said, yeah, let's just slap that disk drive on and it's going to be asymmetrical. I think it looks silly, like just totally, like it kills it for me. Like, and I would more than likely buy the disc one, so I'm hoping that by the time it's ready or I'm ready for it, that that they change it, like we're talking maybe a slim one. But again, if Ratchet and Clank does end up somehow coming out this year, I'll be looking for that one with the disc drive, and I'll have to
Ratchet and Clank, the game changer.
now.
Okay, let me just quickly.
That's the killer app.
Yeah, so clearly some people care on this panel, some people don't. But let me go through the confirmed launch titles of both systems just for prosperity purposes. Games basically at launch on November the 10th for the Xbox Series X and S. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dirt 5, FIFA 21, Fortnite, Gears 5, which is a Series X upgrade, Gears Tactic, Marvel Avengers, NBA 2K21, Observer, System Redux, Tetris Effect Connected, The Falconer, Watch Dogs, Legion, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. So that is the
Watch Dogs again?
again, for the Xbox Series. Those are the games that are coming out. And then in terms of the PlayStation 5 confirmed launch games, it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Astro's Playroom, Demon Soul, Destruction All-Star, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Fortnite, Godfall, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is also the Ultimate Edition, so you'll get that option, Observer, System Redux, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. So that is the options that are available.
Sackboy again?
Hey Stu, but one of those games on the PS5 I think is it's already built into the system. It comes preloaded.
Is it maybe Devil May Cry, which is digital?
No, I think what was the first one you mentioned?
Adventure Playroom.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Astro's Playroom.
Astro's
Astro's
Playroom.
Playroom. Okay.
So those are
Oh, is that like those camera games?
Dude,
No.
check your mic settings.
Oh, is it? Why?
It was
You're a little
low.
bit.
You're
a little
really
bit
low.
Oh, okay.
Like to the point where we wish it was John's mic that was really low.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll hopefully that fixes that. Is it better?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. Ooh. Okay.
It's okay because John will edit in like images of all those games, the cover
No.
art for all of them as
No.
you say them.
Especially not Watch
Amazing.
Dogs. Like I feel like that game was such a notorious bomb that it should not be included in any launch list.
And this
ever.
is the third one.
No, but this is Watch Dogs Legion, right?
No, this is a new one.
So it's Watch Dogs,
Is it-
not Hot Trash.
No,
Edition?
it's
it's
no,
a new one, right? Yeah.
it's Legion. Watch Dogs Legion.
Yes.
But
Watch
there was
Dogs.
what was the second Watchdog called?
Nobody cares.
More watchy.
Yeah. This is
Watching
the
the Watcher?
third game in the trilogy. Or
This is the one. Okay, and I haven't played. I only played number 1, which was not great. But
Yeah.
this was the third one. This was the one where the trailers were all like it looked like kind of like an English gangster movie, right? They were all in their cool little get-ups and whatnot. This one did look quite different. It looked cyberpunk-ish.
Yeah, but again, who cares?
But
I don't know.
so-
Someone might care. I'm talking to that one guy that's listening that cares.
Yeah, to Andre's point, and he mentioned it before in regards to Dark Souls. I was one of those nerds who played Dark Souls religiously on my old PlayStation. I love that game. It was something that was challenging, and I was just a nerd playing it back and forth and figuring out combos and patterns. I love it. And to see this brand new version on a high resolution, super excited just to see it. But again, I'm one of those guys who likes playing the old games I own because I enjoy them and I'm old and I like playing the old games I like playing. So to see it redone nicely compared to some of the redones of Secret of Mana and some of the Final Fantasy games that are just not the same as I remember as a younger man, I'm super excited to go
7
into
looks
that.
crazy though.
Yes. So
Is it a remake or is it like just a remaster?
It's a
remaster
remaster of Demon Souls.
of Demon Souls.
Okay.
And it
So
looks
it's just gonna look nicer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna
So,
fix a
guys,
teeny bit of
so-
controls, but
Maybe it will look nicer.
yeah.
Here's the thing with those two lineups, right?
Mhm.
Most of the games are the same,
Yes.
and there is, like I said, with the exception of Miles Morales, which
No, it's the same. I can tell you, it's probably going to be the same thing as Spider-Man. Only
No, it is.
you're controlling Miles.
It's literally, yeah, it's just
Well, there's a 7-hour campaign that goes 7 or 8 hour campaign with Miles Morales. It's separate. So
Right,
during the
yeah.
video, they showed wintertime in New York City with Miles walking through a subsection borough of where he was living. So it is the Master Edition plus 6, 7, maybe 8 additional hours, which is exclusively Miles Morales, which is why there's a Master or like Deluxe Edition with that. So you can buy the regular Spider-Man with nothing, or you can buy the Miles Morales Edition.
But I think it is a good point of Andre's, which is like when we're talking about launch titles, we really have to look at the ones that are system specific, right? Like system exclusive, because otherwise, I mean, if it's Legions here, Legions there, who cares? Whatever. I'm not going to buy one system for it on one or the other.
Yeah.
But what are the games that are system specific? And when I was researching, I had a hard time figuring it out. I mean, aside from.
And that's a great point, Tim, because I think that after every trailer, they go black screen and say system exclusive. But on the teeny tiny bottom, there's a font that says, limited time, and then on this, it's limited exclusivity, and then it'll be available on console exclusive. But console exclusive means Xbox or Sony, but
It'll
people
end up
forget.
on Steam.
But it'll be on Steam, so it'll be on PC. It's exclusive for the console wars. But in terms of availability, you'll be able to buy it on PC without questions asked.
Well,
and to Andre's point before, this is only exclusive for a limited time. So in 2 years, you can probably buy it on whatever system you want. It's just if you want to be the first adopter or the first to play the game without being spoiled, you have to basically buy their game directly ASAP.
So I guess the bigger question would be, at the end of that PlayStation conference, we saw a God of War teaser, and then we saw gameplay of Halo Infinite, and they pushed that back.
Yes.
So here's the thing: which exclusive are we going to see first? Is God of War going to come out before?
I feel God of War will come out first.
Or Halo going to come out, and then that's where you've got to judge it, because if we can both play Assassin's Creed Valhalla on either system, which system is it going to play and look better on? That's basically one of the questions. And then if we're both playing Call of Duty, it becomes which system is it going to run better on, or where are my friends playing? Yeah. That's the better question.
And to the point we talked about before, which controller is better for those types of games, right? Which
Sorry,
the Xbox
Andre,
controller.
Sorry, Andre, but just to your point, but there clarification, you don't necessarily need for like a God of War. If you're playing, Call of Duty, you don't need the same system as your friends, right? You know what I'm saying? Because it's all cross-play for those type of games. So
Well,
I
it's
think
Call
you're
of-
right on your Assassin's Creed, and you're right on some of those other games. But when it comes to if you're going to do multiplayer online, it's going to be irrelevant of what system your friends have.
And to
Is
another
that
point before you
confirmed?
jump in,
Is that
Andre, quick.
confirmed that we can do crossplay in the new generation of consoles?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes and no, because
On
yes,
games
for
like
some
that?
games, but
Yeah,
remember,
not on all games.
Sony is notorious that they don't want to do this. They're the only ones saying
They've changed.
cross-platform. They've changed, but begrudgingly. Like they're not the ones saying we want to cooperate.
It doesn't
They're the
matter
ones
if it's
that are
been
holding
begrudgingly or
up
not.
the-
They've changed. They've all confirmed that crossplay will be allowed on all these systems. You're not going to have Fortnite, which is the biggest, admittedly, probably the biggest multiplayer game out there right now, is going to run on your PS5 just as it's running. You can play with your PS4, with your Switch, with your
Yeah.
Xbox friends. It's irrelevant. And Call of Duty had to open up, and Sony had to begrudgingly agree to do it. But just because they were late to the game, no pun intended, and they were dragging their feet, they still did it, and it's going to be open up right across every platform from now on. So I think when it comes to multiplayer games, that's all. That was my only point, is that I agree with what Andre is saying. When you're looking at these launch titles, will Assassin's Creed play? Do you want to play it on your PS4 or your PS5 or your Xbox X or S? It's all going to be what your personal preference for the console is. Where it comes down to, where the rubber hits the road, is your exclusives. That's where people, I think, will make their big decision. And
I
because
think
there's
that if
no
you look
actual
at-
exclusives out except for Miles Morales, which is not really an exclusive. If you have a PS4, like Andre said at the beginning of the show, he's just going to get it for his PS4. He doesn't need the PS5 for the Miles Morales
Well,
game.
I think if we look at the console exclusives, and Andre mentioned it, and in regards to God of War, is that it maybe I'm incorrect, but I found that a lot of the PlayStation 5 titles are more individual RPG single player experiences. And I found that the Xbox is more, when it comes to Halo, first person shooter, it's more kind of a multiplayer kind of ecosystem that they've created, where it's more a bunch of people looking together. So again, maybe your preferences alone, like Final Fantasy 16 is coming out for PlayStation 5. And that's a very single player experience, whether that or whether it was Zero Dawn Horizon or God of War or Last of Us. These are all studios that really emphasize a single player experience, and they're gearing more towards PlayStation 5. So maybe the conversation is, if you don't have friends, PlayStation 5 is the way to go. But if you want to play with a bunch of people, go to Xbox, because of just Halo by itself.
But
Is
I
that
don't think
analysis wrong? Like,
but this
does it
is
matter?
not 2003, Stu. I don't think a Halo it can bring enough people over to the Xbox on its merits. This is not, when the first Halo was released for that Xbox, that was unbelievable. And then when you were able on Halo 2 to play with all of your friends and do an online stuff, that was like, people were going and grabbing that Xbox console just so they could do that. They could have LAN parties for their bachelor parties. They could do all of these type of things that they could do.
True story.
Right.
At
They can
Andre's
do all
house.
that. But now Halo as a title, it does not is not the game changer. And again, no pun intended. It's
It
not
is
the
for me.
game changer as it was when it was first released.
You're definitely right, but the thing you're missing is
Hmm.
there are millions of Halo fans. Halo outsells every one of those PlayStation exclusives you mentioned. Halo's outsold them all. So it may not be a system seller to new players, but it's got such a big install base, they could afford to lose time by
Yep.
pushing that game back. Like, I'm curious about that game, right? But look at how much money they potentially lost by saying, we're not going to launch our console with this because of the reaction of our diehard fans. God of War did amazing. Last of Us did amazing. What was that other one? The samurai one, Ghost of Tsushima, did amazing.
Yep.
But these games don't sell in the quantities you guys like that are like boom, like
Mhm.
blockbuster titles.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to, I say Halo sells a ton, but then you say Call of Duty, and Call of Duty outsells Halo. And then you say Fortnite, and Fortnite has more players than all of them. The difference is what console and what game company is actually going to innovate.
Mhm.
And we're not seeing innovation from, and I love this company, Ubisoft. I love the last Assassin's Creed. Odyssey was fantastic. But I don't think the Viking one is going to innovate. Miles Morales, is it going to innovate? I don't think so. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, probably my favorite PS4 game. Is it going to innovate? I'm not sure. They all look amazing graphically. Ratchet and Clank, is it going to innovate? I don't think so. It just,
based on the video, yeah, because the loading screens are integrated into
the
fact
loading
that
screens are integrated. Yes, but I'm talking about like actual innovation. Like Rob said, is it going to bring people across a console, or is it going to bring new people that are off the couch and just saying, I've never owned a game, but oh my God, this Halo looks fantastic, or oh my God, this God of War game, looks fantastic. And I think, what the hardware manufacturers keep toting and what the publishers of games keep saying, we need more power to do more things. Well, show me the more things you're going to do, right? So we're all looking forward to, look at John's background, Cyberpunk, right? Like that could be the next big, changer, but they're putting it out on our current gens, with the Xbox One saying, hey, if you buy it for your current gen, when you upgrade to your next gen, it's going to be upgraded. But it's going to be a graphical upgrade, because Sony's not even doing that. So if you buy Cyberpunk for your PS4 and then you get your PS5, do you have to buy a different edition for the game, or do you wait until you can find your PS5 console till you play that? And again, what's the innovation going to be? If it's delayed loading time and delayed install time, is that really worth the $600 initial investment until they get to make their games, till they hit the ground running and can program for the hardware?
The problem is, though, is that you won't see these innovations that you're hoping for, regardless of what system. It never happens out of the gate. You're looking at least 2 years into the life cycle of a new system, where studios have been working on things to develop and innovate.
First-party studios are the one to innovate. Look at, like you said, look at the difference between Halo and, was it Halo 3 on the 360?
Yeah.
There was huge innovation in that. Huge, right? So studios can do it.
Less jaggies.
It's your big studios that innovate,
so
right?
Let me just jump to this quickly on the idea of playing multiplayer, because I think John and Andre have mentioned a few times about their multiplayer experience. Tim, are you playing multiplayer games? Or are you playing by yourself? Like, what is the experience you're looking for in a console? Playing others online, or playing in the same room? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the reason why I went to Xbox in the first place back in the old days, was because of Xbox Live. Like, I was like a day one guy on Xbox Live, and I was playing it like crazy. I play online all the time, like predominantly online. Like, if I'm going to buy a game, it better have some sort of online component, because that's what extends the life cycle for me, right? I always look for games with good online. But like you guys have said, like, a lot of games now are cross play. Like, I was surprised, and Switch has a lot of games that are doing cross play. So Spellbreak right now, right? The Avatar: The Last Airbender Fortnite, that one's cross play against all systems. Performs really well too. Every game I play is online, and I need some sort of like multiplayer versus even cooperative campaign mode. I just need something like that to be able to play, for sure.
Are you playing, like, again, you mentioned Spellbreak. Are you playing first-person shooters? Are you playing
So I was playing.
What is the game that you're playing with people that matters to you? Does it have to be Street Fighter, because that's John's realm? What is it that needs to be there for you to play multiplayer?
No, anything. Like, I'll like whatever, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I was playing what is it? Warzone, whatever that game is. It's a first person shooter on Switch, another free to play game that plays really well. I'll play Mario Party with people online, right? Like Mario Kart, anything. Any kind of genre I'll play, doesn't matter.
Okay. Rob, to yourself then, is there, I know your son is playing online Fortnite, but is there any other game that you care about playing online outside of that with your son?
Okay, so here's my, I was a big, massive Call of Duty fan during the 360 era. My buddy Ricky and I would every night get together and game on What's that?
Shout out to Ricky.
Ricky. Yay, Ricky. We would always game online together. And then, the PS4 came out. I ended up getting that about 4 or 5 years ago. So what I've been doing is I played, when the Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out last year, 2019. I picked that up. I was playing online. I was doing Titanfall 2 is one of my favorite games, and that online experience was phenomenal. And then Apex Legends came out, so I was doing that. I actually found myself disinterested with Modern Warfare, with the Warzone multiplayer. I can't stand Apex Legends. Even though it's from the studio that created Titanfall 2, I'm not a fan of it. So all of my online play for the last 9 months has almost been Fortnite. Just so I could try to be somewhat competitive with my 11-and-a-half-year-old. But when it comes to my gaming, if I want to just have my own time to game, if I'm not trying to, hone my skills in Fortnite, it's been The Last of Us or going back to God of War or Spider-Man on my. So I can play on my own. I like playing on my own, but if I'm doing any online for the past 9 or 10 months, it's strictly been Fortnite because I'm almost giving up. I'm giving up on Warzone. It's too damn big. It's too much going on. I hate it, and I have no interest in Apex Legends anymore. I mean, Warzone's 120 gigs. Like, what? You're taking up too much space for what it is, right? So,
yeah.
And John, you can edit this in the post, but I meant Warface. That's the game I'm playing. So
Warface?
That later. Yeah, Warface. Yeah.
Warface. All right.
John, what is your? We already got a glimpse of it, but what else are you playing besides Street Fighter? Because that clearly drives you.
That's it. Fighters are my jam, and then first-person shooters. So if Halo comes out, it's all of those are the two games. Street Fighter. If Street Fighter comes out and it's a PlayStation exclusive, then I'm gonna flip my answer to whatever PlayStation I need to get to play Street Fighter. Otherwise, I am holding out for Halo to return again.
And whatever system Overcooked is on, right? Whatever system Overcooked is on.
Overcooked, yeah, Overcooked is fantastic fun.
That's awesome, man.
It's good
And
times.
I'll see you on Power Rangers Battle for the Grid soon too.
Oh man, yeah.
Let's get on that.
Pat, what's your what are you playing?
I do not find any enjoyment in playing multiplayer games, like with random people. I only play like Street Fighter in person. And even during the 360 era, the only times I ever played Halo or Grand Theft Auto online was with John. And and we played a lot of Gears of War Horde mode together. But besides that, I have no interest in playing any game like online because I'm too far behind to be any good.
Yep.
So if I go into a Modern Warfare map, I spend the entire time dying. I do not get enjoyment out of that. So a multiplayer requirement is not for me. Like, I don't care. And maybe that's kind of why I kind of lean towards PlayStation games, because traditionally, like you said before, PlayStation systems were better for single player experiences, whereas Xbox kind of touted the whole Xbox Live, Halo, Modern Warfare experience, right? So
Gears of War, all these
like
first person
Gears,
shooters, right?
Because people were buying, going back to what Dre was saying about people buying Xboxes for Halo, people were buying 360s to play Gears 1.
Yep.
Without a doubt. Right, it introduced the Horde mode, right? Everybody, like, I knew a ton of people that were buying 360s at the time, even like the cheap ones with the smaller drive, just to play Gears of War.
Yeah,
right. Like, that was a killer app for sure.
Yeah, and you're right, Pat. That Horde mode was awesome.
Yeah,
like it would just be you and your buddy, right? You had John, I had Ricky, and you could play for hours, just the two of you doing it. So yeah, you're not. The reality is, the reason why you and I probably don't like multiplayer with other people is because we're not competitive, because we're getting older.
Yep.
You
right?
got to put in the work.
Sucks.
Yeah,
because we're getting older.
But
we are. That's the reality.
And that's the thing. Like, I think playing multiplayer with a friend is the experience that Andre has talked about before, where you have just a bigger group of people on one kind of area. So you go there, because if you go on PlayStation, no one is there, then what's the point?
Like, I mean, like, I was just gonna say, like, if you only have, let's say, 2 or 3 hours a day to play video games, right? Would you rather spend your 2 hours getting shot at by a bunch of, like, and yelled at by kids while playing, War of, like, whatever new Call of Duty, or would you rather sit back and just enjoy a little bit of, I don't know, whatever single player RPG is out, like,
But what of the satisfaction? Yeah, of getting good
Yeah.
and crushing
I
some
love it.
random dude online so that
There's-
he rage quits.
There's
Like,
John.
that is
you
amazing.
don't have the hours of the day to do it. The kids that are playing right now are like 6 hours a day doing it. Like
It's definitely an uphill
really,
battle. Yeah.
unless you're playing an old school game where you still know what's going on, there's no way you can go in to crush anyone anymore because just the
I can play
reps they're
Tetris
doing.
99 without a
crazy.
problem, but don't even put me in Fortnite.
Have you ever won in Tetris 99?
Not the top. No way.
I've won
Doesn't
one
rate you
time. One time.
All
This
of
is
the
your-
At the
games.
beginning, when nobody's
This is
playing, at
Tim's
3
like
in the morning.
Al
It was my-
Bundy, 4 touchdowns
my
in one
God.
game. You know,
All of the games I grew up playing on the Super Nintendo, the NES, the Genesis, I thought it would have given me a foundation to be competitive. It didn't. I wasted all my whole childhood
No.
trying
It's
to be
because you know
competitive
what it is?
online
So here's the
with
thing.
other
Those
people.
skills that you got are not what's required for
No.
first-person shooters.
Well,
What
but
you need for
let's talk-
first-person shooters is reaction time.
so I think
Yeah.
we have to mention this before I get to Andre. But well, I was listening to Bruce Green talk, and he's a streamer on Twitch, and he was part of Funhouse. But he talked about Halo. He loves Halo. But I think that a lot of us grew up in the same thing. When we played Halo when we first started, we're like, this is great. You're beating up all your friends. This is awesome. Like, you're the best Halo player and all your friends. And then when the internet opened it up, you're like, oh, I'm not good at all. Like, I'm good against these noobs. But playing with like a bunch of people that are way better than you, you just realize that, no, you're not good at all. Like, you're just getting owned. You're best of your 8 friends. But when you go to the world, you're like, oh, these people play 12 hours a day and know all the rooms and how to ricochet like bombs off the walls. You're like, no, it's kind of like
And
playing
then you get
Counter-Strike. It's
teabagged afterwards. You're like, this is
Yeah.
the worst experience ever.
So
So it-
let me just quickly. The other day, I think it was like last Wednesday. My son's playing Fortnite next to me on his another TV, and I'm on mine TV, and I'm playing, and I got my second solo win ever.
Mm.
Like, so I was like ecstatic, right? I was like, Noah, look what I did, and he's playing. He leans over and goes, wait, that's only your second win? And I was like, yeah. And he's like,
Get
cool.
good.
And he puts his headphones back on. And so not only am I getting like nutted from the people online, but my own family, man, are like, there's no appreciation. So it piss off.
So what you do is the next time he gets in trouble, you say, "Here, beat this game," and you'll let him off the hook. But the game you give him is like Legend of Zelda
Battletoads.
on the NES.
Castlevania on the NES. Yeah.
and yeah,
Contra.
yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
Contra.
Contra.
Give them an old game that's impossible to play. Yeah, no, and to the point, it's that's not console, but that's why I started playing League of Legends again. Side note, on PC, and I like playing the co-op games with as a team because God, I'm the worst person on my team, but they can carry me to a victory. So
Well, I
I'm
mean,
awful, and then I'm like, the other guys are awesome, and I'm like, I'll play with you guys, and I can just. And same thing happened in Halo. Like, I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst either. So I like playing in a team system where there's a couple guys that can help you out, so you're not just you suck. And then it's just
Stu,
over.
there was a year where I played League of Legends every night, and
Yep.
every night it was still super aggravating because you would spend 45 minutes playing a game, and then at the end, one guy on your team messes up a little, and you just lose, and you
Yep.
just threw away 45 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
So
And
what
that
you
was
guys are
every
saying?
day.
So what you guys are saying is, I'll see you all on Pokemon Unite, and we will crush that together. Got it.
We'll figure out something. Maybe we'll do if this Xbox Halo stuff. Maybe we'll do a team one day where the podcast will start playing some of our listeners in a group, and we'll just get owned, and they can make fun of
No,
us.
I don't want to have to carry you guys.
You better carry your
I haven't
weight,
played
John.
games in so long. The only thing
Yeah.
you're carrying is my bag.
No,
bro.
Halo is ingrained into my DNA.
Well,
Man, when me and Andre were playing on the regular, when we would actually team up with our guys and we would get into a match, we would skunk the other team so
Nope.
bad because
Nope,
we actually
that's
like,
what you
talk
think.
to each
so
other.
this is what's
That's
gonna
what you
happen.
think, dude. Not
The
anymore.
fact that you said we would skunk them so bad tells you how dated you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hey, remember in Halo when you ran around the corner and I bashed you to death with the skull?
It happened that one time. Let's let it go.
So let us now decide that at the Heroes World Con that we're gonna put together, the 6 of us will be one team for Halo. We'll play against other people, get listeners. So John will be hero number one, and we're
there's
gonna
some
let
other
John
members
go
we
out there
need.
and see what happens.
We need Mike Lefebvre. He's got to come out. There's
No,
a
no,
bunch
no,
of guys. Kyle
he's not-
Silver. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
ringers we need to bring
No,
out.
no,
though.
you can't. They have to be on the
now
podcast.
you're- now you're
There's no
saying that.
ringers. See, this is immediately what happens. Joe's like, we'll bring in ringers. Well, you talking about Skunky? I don't think it was you at all. I think it was Mike, and you were on his shoulder going, hit him, shoot.
Yeah,
shoot,
well,
shoot,
this
shoot.
is all predicated on the fact that we're all going to buy the new Xbox, and I'm not going to.
Well,
Cross-play, Rob. Cross-play.
Not on
Yeah,
Halo.
on your PC.
On Halo.
Non Halo.
Halo. Well, we'll figure something out, Rob, for you, or you'll have to,
We'll replace you
Okay,
with
I'll be
one of
playing.
John's
I'll be
ringers.
playing Uncharted 5 while you guys are trying to
God.
figure out how to
What in
dual gun wield in Halo.
2030? In 2030, you'll get your Uncharted 5.
Yeah, we wouldn't even know when Uncharted.
Good
The
luck.
movie will come up before the game, Rob, so you
Yeah.
can watch Tom Holland do stuff.
That's fine. Me and Marky Mark will be hanging out watching Tom Holland doing his Nathan Drake impression. That's fine.
Oh boy. Okay, so we talked a lot, but Andre, we know you were playing Mass Effect Online, and we played a lot of stuff. But what are you doing online with the people?
So, yeah, like John and a lot of us, like the Twitch shooters and stuff that's just all reflex. I can't do it anymore. Just too slow. Don't have the hours to get good at a map. But if there's a co-op multiplayer, like I'm still playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. The servers are still up. There's still games to be played. It's super fun. Even just sometimes going into a gold match and there's only one other player and we're not even communicating on headsets and we just know how to play, and you complete the 10 levels with another dude and you just, message him after, hey, great match or whatever. Like that's good. Like, so co-op Gears of War, co-op Halo Reach Horde mode, Halo ODST Horde mode, anything that's got this co-op element where it's me versus a bunch of dudes or with friends. I think that's more of what I want out of multiplayer. Other than that, single player solo games are my jam, story driven games, and usually games that are, I would say, at least trying to move forward, and innovate, right? Like, not just, I don't want to just play the exact same thing over and over, but I also don't want to wait 10 years in between a game for them to have to innovate and the story is left on the table. I'm probably one of the few people that was hypercritical of the Sony God of War game because I felt playing that game, I felt like it was 3 levels of a game. You compare it to the old God of War games and you're like, wait a minute, Kratos has like amazing weapons, all these options. And then you play this new one and he had an axe until he got the blades at the end of the game. And you're supposed to go to 9 realms and you go to 3. And I'm like, you guys sold us not even half of a game, right? So if it takes them, I don't know how long ago that came out. Like, was it 4 or 5 years now almost?
No,
right?
God of War was 2018 because that same year you had God of War, you had Red Dead Redemption 2, and Spider-Man, all now in
Oh, in
2018.
2018. Okay. So yeah, so maybe
it was
we'll get
possibly
it.
the best gaming year of all time.
Yeah.
2018?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
played the crap out of Red Dead.
I just don't. I hope we don't have to wait that long. Just like for Halo, the timeline between Halo 5 and Halo 6 is going to be 6 years. That's ridiculous. Like, and Halo 5 ended on a cliffhanger. So I think there's time to innovate, but there's also time to continue your story. And I do believe that games should be able to finish their story on a particular console, meaning I really appreciated that I could play Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 all on my 360. That was one story said and done. So now if people are playing trilogies, you could be like, have to cross over on platforms. Like, that's crazy. That's too much time in between,
Well, now with Game Pass, it doesn't matter. You can just play all of them on one system. You can just download it and get ready to go.
If they get to it, but like if they eventually they'll start making games only for whatever the new Series X is, and you won't be able to have it backwards compatible to your One X or whatever the heck it is.
I think that's true for Sony. I think Microsoft is a bigger, larger organization. They dwarf Sony on so many aspects of revenue and what they seem to be so much consumer friendly, and they don't care about keeping that niche. So I feel like based on what I've seen so far and read, that Xbox has been super consumer friendly on so many levels, backwards compatibility, and you mentioned before, controllers, just the basic things, but also Game Pass. It's kind of like if you're Canadian, and we mentioned before with the monthly pass, it's like back in the day when you bought a phone and it was like a monthly charge that they would throw in you. You get the phone for free if you just pay 2 years. And
Yeah.
that, I feel like it's similar to what that's going to be like in John's case with the Xbox, like, you know, Series the S. It's
S.
kind of like if you
Base
pay
model
$40
Xbox.
a month after 2 years,
I'm not
basically
sure
the
if
system pays
they
for
haven't
itself.
rolled that out in Canada just yet. I think they've just announced it. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see. And we also don't have, like, the Xbox pre-orders actually go on the 22nd. So
Yeah.
we're the 20th now as of recording, but it's going to be interesting to see how long those pre-orders last and what happens. Like, are you going to have to line up outside your store? Can you pre-order online? Like, do you pre-order at a Microsoft store hoping you're going to get it? Or do you trust your Walmart or your EB or your Best Buy? Like, what do you do? Right?
Well, to this point then, jumping up to the pre-orders, let's say if you had the option and you could pre-order right now without all the kerfuffles that's happening, Tim, if you had your way and you could get the pre-order for, you know, the system of your choice, which I assume even after all the conversations, nothing is potentially changed and you're going for a PlayStation 5, are you going for clearly the higher version, the standard edition? Would you want it day one, or are you going to wait a year?
Yeah, I would wait. I think I'm going to wait and see how things go, like depending on what system performs better, where my friends go, where the games go, right? And see what starts to give the better value. I also do look forward to a redesign. I know it's not even out yet, but like to Andre's
Slim. He
point,
wants
right?
slim.
The looks are a little bit off for me. I don't know that it's going to fit everything. So I'll have to see.
But there will be a slimmer or a new edition, like God of War, you know, skinned PS5, which will come out in 2021. So
I never like those though. I never like getting the skinned versions because I just, again, once I stop playing that game, it bothers me that I have to keep looking at Kratos' face or
You can
Master
cover it up with
Chief's
something else.
helmet. Yeah.
Some of the designs were really cool. Like some of the Star Wars ones were still awesome after the fact because I looked
The
at
Spider-Man PS4 is red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's completely out of place with everything in the black shelf, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it may not mask the aesthetic that Tim is looking for without the pictures of his setup. The red thing may be too much.
Yeah, it's too off.
Yeah.
But
Andre, sorry, Tim, go for it.
No, I was gonna say, and not that we're talking about it, but I'm interested to see how Nintendo responds too, right? Because they've got their apparently their upgraded Switch coming out, so we'll see what happens.
It's the same old Nintendo. It doesn't matter. It's you know, it's fine. Nintendo's great. Like it has a niche. That's why we're not talking about it, because it's not even comparable in terms of like power, in terms of, you know, and their exclusive games are exclusive games. It's Mario. So like we haven't even talked too much about the exclusive games because they're 2 or 3 years away outside of God of War. So I'm not even going to bother because, you know, it is what it is. But Andre, if you had your way, and same as I asked Tim, both systems are available to you day one. Would you get them day one or would you wait?
If you'd asked me this, you know, back in August or whenever the E3 news of both of them, the first conferences were, I would have said, yeah, day one for both of them. You know, I was actually legitimately concerned that the Sony console with the disc drive was actually going to be the short printed one, because I feel that both companies are going to want to start pushing people digitally now more than ever in this Corona environment. And just like, hey, they need to maximize their profit. These consoles are costing them a lot. These dev cycles are costing the game developers a lot. And it's just a way to cut the middleman out. Like, I know it sucks, you know, but I really thought, so I was like, oh man, I got to get out there day one and get that PlayStation and stuff, and same thing with the Xbox. But realistically now that they push back Halo, it's not that would be the only reason for me to get the Microsoft console, but the immediacy, is that a word? It's gone, you know, and unfortunately, I really think that they dropped the ball with announcing Miles and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 as backwards compatible, because again, I don't need those systems now. That's not to say if I don't walk into an EB and there's one there, somebody canceled it, probably that newness will be like, okay, I'll pick it up, it's here. But I will tell you a funny story, because the night of the conference, I was out and I stopped into my EB and they were watching the conference on their computer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally like 20 minutes from being over, and I was just getting food next door. And I said to the guys, because I know that, your local EB guys are like, yeah, just, hey, make sure, you let me know when the pre-orders are up. And literally, if I had stayed and watched the rest of the conference with them, I could have had a pre-order for the PS5, because they dropped that evening. And then you call them the next day, oh no, we're all sold out. So that fiasco of that, I hope Microsoft learns from that.
They had their date. They had their date preset beforehand.
They had their date preset.
They were ahead of the thing, saying this is the
so
date.
They're ahead of the game. But I think and we talked a little bit about this at the store yesterday, and I think it's interesting. And I don't know how you would actually roll it out, but I'm sure they could kind of figure it out. There's just too much scalping of everything going on right now, from those NVIDIA video cards to new video game consoles to new video games to shoes to comic books. Wouldn't it be cool if you got an email from Xbox Live or PlayStation Network and say, hey, you've been a PlayStation Network person for the past 20 years or Xbox Live member for 15 years. We're giving you the chance to pre-order it. And they just literally send everybody an email or contact them on their console. So if there's people that are playing all the time, they're going to see this notification, hey, would you like to pre-order the system? Yes or no? And if you click yes, they're like, okay, here's our information. You have to put a deposit in, or we bill your credit card because they have your credit card to file. Done. Local pickup from a Sony, drop point or Microsoft or something. Instead, you're going to have people going to be trying to flip these systems on day one for like $1,000, and that does not help the true fans of these consoles that Microsoft and Sony want those people to have those consoles, because they're going to be spokespeople and sell their friends on it. Say, hey, yo, John, you've got to get the Xbox. I'm playing this game and it's fantastic. Get it now. You'll like it. As opposed to, if I can't get that system, I got to pay a scalper $1,000 for it.
This is the side hustle, Andre. This is no different than music at going to a concert or sporting event. Scalping's been around for generations.
Oh, I know,
anything.
but
It's not going to change. So you just have to be an educated consumer. That's it.
They have a thing in place where they literally know how long people have been part of their subscription service, and you'd think that person, you can almost see the loyalty. Like if they know how many hours I play, how many hour Pat plays, how many hour John plays, if they say, okay, hey, it's literally an algorithm. This person has been playing or has Xbox Live since day one, and oh, look, they still play once a day, twice a day, 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. They could just be like, yeah, the people who are in the highest peak, they get first right of refusal. And they just send that down. Again, I know it wouldn't be as easy as I'm saying, but it would be pretty damn nice. With a concert, you can't do that. What are you going to say? Oh, this guy follows me on Twitter so much and he retweets everything, I'm going to give him a chance at tickets. No, but we got people who are paying yearly.
But even then, everyone has their price, as the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase said, Andre. Money. Yeah, even if, Andre, you're that guy that's on that list, for example, and there's no opening day console you care about, but you could get the system, get $200 during this time of times. It's not a bad idea, just based on the side hustle.
I don't know.
This is the nature of...
Amex does it. If you're like an Amex holder, they'll give you early advanced priority to or a window to buy concert tickets before other people, so they could do something like that.
But it doesn't stop people from then doing that and turning around and going to Ticketmaster and scalping again or unstoppable.
Oh yeah, totally.
So like this is a bigger, this is the secondary hustle that's opened up. This is no different than when you were younger and before the stuff, you'd walk to an event and the guys outside, Pat would know, tickets outside the Rogers Center. You could buy stuff back and forth. They would buy group tickets at a just kind of right price and then sell them at the stadium downtown. So I get the sentiment, Andre. I agree with you. It's been really nice for them to do it, but I don't think you'll stop the situation. But then I think there's probably a lot of people that would still consider scalping. So
I don't know. I think
yeah.
I think the person, listen, if you were the person and you got that email and you play so much, there's just something about being the first kid on the block with that item. I don't think a lot of people would be like, yo, I got to flip this because they sold to. You're right. There would be a percentage of it, but you know, again, at least they tried. And if they said, oh, look, these consoles ended up online anyways, you know, but I honestly, it was like when Microsoft did the day one edition, and I know it was stupid, but I went out and got the day one. I still have my day one Xbox controller that I didn't even want to use because it said day one edition, you know? So yeah, I'm like
and the games too were branded day one too.
Yeah, you know, so it's just something a little bit nice.
Okay. Rob, has anything shifted your PlayStation 5 love? You're just going straight in.
So yeah, no, here's, you know, it's a bit of a convoluted answer for me because I have so many different things that I'm weighing. I am admittedly a sucker for FOMO, of the fear of missing out, right? There is nothing that there really isn't anything at this launch for the PS5 that makes me want to go get it where I have to have it.
Yeah.
And yet I have this feeling that I need it. And it's not logical. It really isn't, right? I keep checking, you know, the websites, you know, whether it's EB Games, Best Buy, Walmart, even Shoppers, to try to see about getting the pre-orders that are all sold out. I'm signing up, and yet I don't need it. I don't need it in November or for the holidays, and yet I feel like I have to have it. So I'm having a difficult time trying to understand, like, do I really need to spend the money? When they released that small teaser for Ragnarok, which was it was just voiceover and the circle with the symbols. There was no gameplay footage. It said 2021. So in my peon brain, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe in April, in my birthday, maybe I'll wait until then to get it. The reality is I want it. I want it now, but I think I need to wait at least.
You need to be an adult and responsible.
Right. I need to wait at least 6 months. I also need to reconcile whether or not I want the digital or the physical. We said this before off camera, before we started the show. We're collectors. All of us here are collectors. Pat is the perfect example of looking behind him of all the physical game discs that he has. So do I really need a physical disc, or is it just because I like seeing it displayed on my shelf? The reality is you're going to be buying the PS5 digital, like the disc, you're dropping it in, and then you're downloading, it's just uploading the game data, and then it's all saved to your hard drive anyways. So what is the point of that physical game? I know we have this discussion about, well, then you could resell it, you can lend it to your friends, and I get with that. But for me, I need to determine, what is it that, do I really need that physical disc, or am I okay with digital? We haven't touched on the price point of games. Digital games don't go on sale as often as physical ones do, right? So that's something that people have to consider, is that, you know, when you're looking into February, well, you know, the Call of Duty on PS5 dropped down $20 at your Best Buy for that week, because they can manipulate those prices. Whereas digital, you're stuck pretty much for a good 6 months with the price, with $89 in Canada. It's $90 for a game. So that's something else that we have to consider. Yep. So I think it's the only reason I wanted to just kind of get this out of the way and just say this now is that I think that I'm not probably the only person in the boat that has all these things going through their head. I am going to go Sony. I'm doing my best to as John said, to be a responsible adult. And
he's trying to pre-order right now.
In
when
November.
He looks down on his screen, he's checking.
Yeah, I did. I was signing up for things. I think I'm gonna have to wait, because for a game to come out with it that will say, okay, I want to have it. I'm fine with my PS4. But I'm a Mark, and there is something about it that's driving me to want. Like, I get sweaty palms thinking about the fact I want to get the system now, and it makes no sense. So I will go PS5. Will I go digital or optical? I haven't decided yet. I likely will have to wait at least until this time, or maybe holidays 2021.
All right.
So,
good thought process there. I agree with you. We're in a waiting game. We're in the end game happening. But John, has the Xbox X, is that the future for you? Is this what's happening?
It's the Xbox S. Just before we go on, like, if anyone's listening to this audio, we're keep making fun of Pat because he's got 3 Billy bookcases, the corner extension, as well as the mini CD extension full of
Of
games. He's double checking account
Yep.
just in case you're listening to audio and you wonder why we keep making fun of him. But yeah, the
By
Xbox.
fun, we mean we're all jealous of him.
I actually am mad jealous because
Yeah,
I don't
big
have
time
any of my old games anymore. But yeah, the Xbox S is where I'm going. Am I going to pre-order right now? Barring any unforeseen, like, so to Rob's point, the fear of missing out. Like, if for some reason they drop a surprise announcement that Halo is coming out for Christmas, then I'm going to feel really stupid for not having a.
No,
but
not gonna
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen this climate. And then Street
They
Fighter
might,
6,
John. They might.
No.
Yeah, if they get pressure,
100%
yeah,
no.
if they,
No,
yeah,
they won't.
see,
We
just
just
this
feed
guy.
into his fear.
No,
Feed into
no,
his fear.
no.
Yeah.
They could drop a skeleton version and it could have only multiplayer, and I would be 100% in. And
The game looked like shit, John.
And Street Fighter 6, they could drop in like 4 characters only, and I would be 100% in. I would buy that stupid $600 system. But yeah, as of this moment, I don't want to have to pre-order, but I feel like I'm gonna have to, just in case, that small chance.
Not gonna happen. But yes,
Yeah.
It is.
This is you're the final thought. Has anything swayed your opinion? Are you still going Sony? This is the route you're going at? But are you gonna buy day one, or are you gonna wait till sometime in the 2021s?
Pat already has a pre-order in.
Were you talking to me? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, Pat already has a pre-order.
I was gonna start this with anybody looking for a $1,000 PS5, Andre.
Scumbag.
Rob
Rob
Wow,
right there.
amazing.
God, Pat.
I mean, like FOMO can be cured with an extra $300.
Yeah.
Oh boy, amazing.
Wait,
Rob,
did you go
you can live
digital or
stress-free.
physical? What did you order, Pat?
Okay,
Because
no,
it's
all
my
kidding aside, I definitely ordered a physical one. I do have a pre-order, but
Yep.
I'm willing to bet it's going to get canceled. With what's going on, I'm willing to bet it's going to get canceled. However, I did pre-order a physical one. I'm looking on my other screen right now on my receipt, on my order history every day to make sure it's still here. It still says in progress, estimated date of arrival, November 13th.
It's not gonna change. It's you got in. You got in.
Rob's sending you a PM right now.
Yeah.
Do you take
say,
monthly payments?
Start paying now.
Can I say one
I
thing?
do
Those
have
two.
one
Yeah.
scheduled.
Well, let Pat finish. So, and then I'll go to you, Tim. In terms of your hesitation, is it anything else outside? Like nothing is really special, nothing really driving you. You just have it because you just lucked out. But are you?
Well, I mean, I really kind of wanted to get one because I really wanted one at launch just to kind of say I had one and to play all the launch games. But then
Bragging rights.
bragging rights is huge, Mr. Day One Xbox Day One Edition.
True
I regret it so much.
Right, but like the problem is Jerry makes a lot of good points, right? There isn't really, and even Rob makes a lot of good points. There isn't really anything I'm in a huge rush to play on it. So I'm kind of thinking like it doesn't hurt to pre-order it, right? Because I'm not paying extra for it. This is basically me stumbling into a pre-order. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I'm not gonna go and spend $1,200 to buy it. Right.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, I can sell it to somebody for $1,000. So
That guy.
He's right above you on my screen.
Andre's just like all the conversation
So,
we had
Pat,
were gone.
Is he
We
wearing a
have to do
Super
it in a
Mario
way-
shirt?
We have to do it in a way that my wife doesn't know I'm spending money every month. So I will just email transfer you
yeah.
under a different name.
Yeah, we've already talked about it's Bob. It's Bob Podette.
Bobby.
Yeah.
This is
But
how
we'll
it is.
see,
All
we'll
right.
see.
Yeah. So I can see your hesitation. So you're considering your options, Pat. All right.
Like
Tim.
it doesn't hurt. They haven't charged me for it yet, so
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to have this pre-order in place.
Wait. Before we jump to Tim, where did you get through EB or where did you get it from?
No, I
tried.
have a friend who works at EB, who's the manager of EB, and he said that the pre-orders went online and were gone within like an hour, and all
Yeah.
the store ones couldn't really do that much either. I tried Best Buy, but I ended up getting it through Walmart. I actually texted John right when I saw it, and then asked him asked if he wanted to get one himself, and then he hemmed and hawed, and then by the time he thought about it, it was gone.
Okay,
Seems about right. Seems
not
about
I
right.
mean, not to feed into your fears either, but every time I pre-order something from Walmart, it gets canceled, and they do not tell you. It just never shows up, and then when you end up checking, they're like, "Yeah, we canceled that because we
Yeah,
couldn't."
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm 90%
that's
sure it's
brutal.
gonna get canceled.
All right, Tim. The
What
floor is yours.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, going back to Andre before we went off on 1,000 tangents, but like we're talking about like the games that come out that would make you buy these systems. I am very surprised that both systems didn't release any fitness app to go. Not that I've seen, but like we saw what happened with quarantine. We saw what happened with Ring Fit Adventure, going through the roof on sales. It's still huge now, still selling big time in Japan. It's #1 on the sales charts week after week still. I'm surprised that none of the systems did anything with a fitness app to try and lure in at least those people that might want something.
Tim, they tried because the Xbox had the camera and you could do the dance.
Yeah,
all those Connect games.
Yeah, but this was not in quarantine time, right? Like now that is something that people are looking for, and they're worried that their gyms are going to close down again, or they've had that experience before and they had to go out and do different things. I'm just surprised. I just thought it was a little bit of a miss on both systems' part.
I think something like the Peloton bike, right, where you have instructors and you pick them, and they could have integrated. They could have stolen that formula.
Yeah,
but I don't think that the audience that they're selling the games to, they don't need bells and whistles to sell these consoles. That's like I said, this particular launch. The fact that there's literally not a first-party game on either console worth mentioning, not a new IP, anything, tells you that they know this is going to sell. It's like it's like, hey, gamers need water, so we're just going to give them water, And I'm not saying that they're going to be bad. Like honestly, if I walk into an EB or wherever and they say, oh yeah, we've got consoles, like I fell into a Switch. I literally was at Best Buy and they were unpacking. I'm like, oh, are those Switches for sale? They're like, yeah. I impulse bought one, So I think it'll happen, but it would be really cool if they did have a plan. Yes, Microsoft did plan on doing Halo, and I think if they continued with Halo, like that, I think even how the game was, the perception of that first gameplay footage. I think even if they released it with that, it's got to be better than what we saw.
Right. It had 360 graphics, man. It was not.
Rob, you know what? I thought the exact same thing, and then I went upstairs and I watched it on my 4K TV on my 4K thing. It actually looked really good and smooth. The problem was that we didn't know where this game fit in. But again, kudos for them for delaying it. But if that had come out with Halo, I think Sony would have been hard pressed to match a first party game.
I agree with you.
And especially the marketing machine behind Microsoft, they could have made this Halo game literally feel like, oh my God, so
they just tried.
No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
I'm saying though that like the both systems, they needed something to say, hey, this is why you need this system, and this is why you also want it on day one. I'm just saying a fitness app. A little bit of a hardness. Those are not hard to make.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, because you need foresight and planning, and studios were locked down and they couldn't plan all that stuff to get it done, Tim. So I don't know if that was something to turn around. It could be done that quickly. But I think the target market, they know it's not fitness apps that these people care about, because there are other options. Nintendo pretty much has that locked down, whether it was the, Wii Fit, the board
but take some of that smoke, man. Take some.
I don't think
people laughed at Nintendo.
The demographics not the guys that like playing Halo. It's like, I need to go to the gym and exercise.
A lot of the guys playing Halo need to go to the gym. So that's
I think Nintendo owns that spot, and I think it's no one else really wants to get in that space.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure there might be an argument to do it, but I think it'll be after like a year or and a half after they're like, here's a fitness game, and by then no one will care. It just takes too long to get that stuff.
Honestly, I
even
remember
Just Dance. Like, has anything really come out? Because
Just Dance was kind of fun.
Those are still coming out.
But it's still on the Wii's, right? It's not on anything else. Is it?
It's on the Switch.
No,
it's on the Switch. Let me tell you something. As a dad,
the Switch.
As a dad who has a 9-year-old like competitive dancer, when she puts on Just Dance, we didn't spend the $70 on the game for the Switch. It's all on YouTube. Just play the videos off of YouTube and dance until your heart's content. You know what? That was free. So Just Dance and those games were it was.
That's ridiculous. Rob's top tip. He likes to
Yeah.
dance to YouTube.
Why spend 80
videos.
bucks on Just Dance 2021
Because,
when you
Rob,
can it's
I
all
want
on
to
YouTube?
dance as Han Solo and then do the whole thing in
I'm
the
Han
background.
Solo.
I
Doesn't
want
make
to
a
do the Han
difference.
Solo dance,
Whatever.
and I want to make sure that I score points. It's
Nobody
gonna track
cares.
my effort.
No, people were just dancing because they enjoyed it because it was fun. They liked the music. They didn't really care about what the points were. Sorry, that's the
Same thing with
reality.
stuff
Yeah,
like
but I'm not.
Halo.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the dance ones. I'm talking about the fitness.
No,
ones.
I know, but you also just got married last week and you had photos with you and your new wife.
I'm allowed to.
boxing gloves.
I'm allowed to stop all gym memberships immediately. That's all I know. That.
No, you're not allowed. No.
You just had boxing gloves and everything else. So you are a fitness freak. So like that you're looking for something that tailors towards you. The rest of us schmucks who are eating Cheeto dust and playing video games on the couch don't
Should
need
play some Ring Fit
a
Adventure.
fitness app on the PS5 is not going to bring me over as a first day adopter and be like, ooh, look, I can do things. I can stand up and exercise.
The Xbox you can stream onto your phone attached to a controller or something like that,
you
right?
like. Here's the thing: you need a camera to work that, Tim, with the Xbox and with the PlayStation. But with the Wii Fitness, because of the nunchucks and the way they separate, it's easy to like put a peripheral on your arm or your leg. It just the system's just made better for that type of innovation. So
Remember
I
how
agree
when the
with you.
Wii
There's a
came
niche,
out,
but it's
everybody
really
thought
hard.
it was stupid? Man, how wrong were everybody?
Everybody. Well, the same thing with the nunchucks where the Wii Fit and all that. People thought it was dumb, and then it became a craze, and everyone else wanted to go for it. So
Can I ask a quick question, Stu? And I'm not sure because I know we probably got to wrap
Yeah.
it up. But what about
Yeah.
the price points on these game systems? That's one thing we haven't talked about.
we did in the very beginning.
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you gave the prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
The
but-
you want to? What else do you want to talk
Like,
about?
are you okay with the prices?
No, I
No,
think
I'm not okay. It's $629 plus taxes.
That's why you get the
is
S.
$711.85.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
we talked
it's
about
Free
it.
shipping.
Yeah. But
well,
this is the-
thank God Walmart can eat that $20 free shipping charge.
And they're just gonna leave it on your doorstep, but someone's gonna steal it anyways.
yeah. Porch pirates. No, we talked about like again.
I think it's expensive. That's all.
It is, but
Yeah.
if you are a casual gamer like John, the Xbox Series S is the best value. If you know a 4K TV for $379, it's as fast or better than a lot of gaming rigs. You cannot get that value plus a controller. Like it is incredible the value you're getting. But if you are a hardcore gamer, then it doesn't make sense. But if you're just a person that just wants to plug in and play, like
Stu, I think there's a common misconception between whether or not something is expensive versus whether or not it's worth it, right? Like when I look at the prices for these PS machines, these any video game consoles, $600, it's expensive, but it doesn't necessarily mean it isn't worth it, right? For all the value you get out of it, right?
Yep.
Because compared to other PlayStation generations and Xbox generations, this isn't that far out of the norm. Right? The PS3 launched at $600, but then it also had a Blu-ray player. So was it expensive? Yes, but was it worth it at the time when Blu-ray players themselves were $800?
Yeah,
Sure.
if you look on some websites, they go through every system's launch and then they do the inflation cost to show you what it costs in 2020. And actually, these systems are not too far off.
Well, they're all taking a loss at a certain extent. Like it's not they're not making money, but they're
Loss.
making money off of the
But-
games and that they're selling off in peripherals. Like that's what Sony's going to be like. Well, you want a controller? We'll make money
Right.
off of that.
But this is
Shoddy
where
controllers.
to go back to my earlier comment about what Microsoft is doing right, at least, is having the ability to do your monthly installments and your payments. And even though you pay it over 24 months, you are paying a higher value than you would if you bought it day one or just paid up front, just like we do with our phones. You're paying more over that 24-month period, but a lot of people, because you can do the Xbox, the X, the higher value at a monthly payment. And that is really enticing to a lot of people. I'm surprised that Sony didn't do something similar.
For those that don't know, though, Rob, and I'm one of those. I know that this whole like payment pricing thing works, but who am I paying? Like who is this?
So
with?
so Microsoft will be releasing in Canada what's retailer, but I believe it's EB Games. That information comes out later this month, or maybe beginning of October. But it will be through EB Games as the exclusive retailer of who you can do your monthly payments to.
I think there's a bigger conversation that we can have another day about the fact that the AAA games in price hasn't really changed since
It
our
has.
childhood. Like back in the day,
It's $90 now. It's jumping up an extra $10 in Canada.
But games before, I think.
Stu, your mic cut out.
Stu, you're muted.
Steve, mic cut it.
Oh, well, it was a Super Nintendo game was still $80 back in the
Yeah.
day, or when you're buying a Super Nintendo game and inflation, like it was much more expensive. Like to buy Final Fantasy like 3 North America was still like $69, and that was like 20 years ago. Like that.
Super Nintendo games were $89
Yeah.
back when they came
Yep.
out. I worked
They
in a hobby
varied.
store, so
They varied.
so
They varied. They went from $40 to $80.
Yeah, so from your point, Rob, like it's the games
they were never $40 when they first came out, bro. They were never $40.
They have
You
not
lagged out a little
changed
bit
in
and Lee's
price.
jumped in.
Like it's crazy the amount of expectation when it comes to games, but the price has never changed. It's always been the exact same.
Yeah.
When it comes to innovation, everything goes with it. So they're losing money on some of these games based on the fact that we bought a crappy 8-bit game back in the day. But yeah,
Money is just that they're selling so many more copies that they can. That Super Mario 3 would have sold how many copies on the NES versus Super Mario 3D World on the Wii? There's millions more people, so that's where they're making it up, right? But game prices, they have stayed within that $69 to $79 range for a long time. There's a little sweet spot where they were $59.99 Canadian, but I've sold, or worked at video game stores and hobby stores my entire life, and I literally remember Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES was $129. You can just Google ads for when these games came out, and you can see their prices. $89.99 for Mario on the NES. Mario 3 was, and that was in 19 whatever. So if you inflate that now, that's a $200 game. Right?
And back then, when you bought a console like a Super Nintendo, you had 3 games, and the rest of the time you were renting it from a Blockbuster because you couldn't afford any other games.
Yeah.
I remember getting the money for my Street Fighter 2 from my mom, and my buddy John and I, shout out to John Borromeo, bicycling to the store, clutching that money as if it was like our life, because if we lost this, we'd be murdered. But just to get to that store and pick up that copy of Street Fighter 2, man, that's a memory.
We can go down a rabbit hole of pricing and inflation and this and that. The only thing I have to say is that a $90 game is still expensive in comparison to everything else now that we are paying for that we didn't back when you had your NES, your SNES, and everything else. You've got your Netflix, you've got your HBO/Crave, you've got your Amazon Prime membership. Like, all I'm saying is that the game the prices have increased from generations. So now your PS4 games are $80, now they're $90. You throw in your tax, you're looking at over $100 for a game. Yeah, I get it. I don't buy the whole inflation argument strictly because we didn't have the things that we had before. What?
Toonie Tuesday. What happened to that, bro? Remember we could buy chicken?
That's no longer Toonies anymore, man.
Remember when you could buy 20 Timbits for $1.99, Tim?
No, I get it, but
yeah,
listen,
I remember.
I know.
That. Remember
your Big Mac meal used to be $3.49 with tax. It was $4.19.
Now it's like $9. So you got to.
I get it. I get it. But all I'm saying is that it's a value for money. So your Red Dead Redemption at $80, that gave you 100 hours of entertainment, and that was worth it. But not every game should be priced at it's just expensive. It's expensive for a new system. Look at Pat. Pat's talking about $711 in tax and everything else for the new system with no game. Like that's all I'm saying is that I get these when these new generation games come out, things are expensive.
What you're saying, Rob, is that like you're saying that because you have extra costs on your entertainment monthly, that a video game shouldn't cost as much. But they're totally different beasts. Like for me, I have a Disney Plus subscription and my internet. That's it. And personally, if they came out and said Red Dead Redemption now is $200, or Skyrim the sequel is $200, or Mass Effect an actual sequel is $200, and I'm going to get 100 hours out of that game, I'll pay it.
But you're an outlier, Andre. You're the outlier for the average person.
Not everybody has all those things to watch. HBO Plus, Max, all of those things. People might have 2 or 3 of those things. But the thing is, a video game consistently provides, like Pat said, difference between expensive and value. If
I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But you're saying it's not worth $100.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying, and maybe I'm not articulating myself, is that in this market of competitive, where everything has to be competitive with other platforms and this and that, I'm surprised at the increase of price of these games. I thought Sony and Microsoft would have stayed or even be dropped a little bit just to get people hooked into. You're having these systems
understanding.
I get
what you're saying, Rob. You're saying that understanding that now there's a lot more things competing for your entertainment dollar, right? How do I suck more people into my boat?
Correct.
But I think, Rob, to your point quickly, it's that before we cut, because it's getting long. At the end of the day, for a game like Overcooked, you can charge $20 because it's a cheap game. But a AAA game like Cyberpunk, the amount of action you're going to get in that game, which has spoiled us. Like GTA 5, that game has spoiled everyone. You can't play a game. GTA 5 is like 300 hours of just content. You can play forever.
Content still coming out to this day.
Yeah, there's still stuff like that. So games like that have spoiled us, where we expect every game to be like this, and frankly,
also,
it's expensive.
I just have to say this: the video game industry is the biggest entertainment industry, period. So they don't have to drop nothing. They actually could raise price because idiots are freaking watching and paying people on Twitch, on YouTube streaming service. Their people have money to invest in video gaming that's not giving money to the studios. Like, look, John and I don't sell video games, but we sell a ton of video game toys, statues, art books, action figures, merch. Yeah, it's the biggest one. So don't tell me, why would you lower the price? You're leading the pack. We're lucky that the games aren't $99 Canadian.
They're gonna get there.
And remember too that the average age of a video gamer is somewhere in the mid-30s now. So they know that their core video game audience are full-time workers in the work environment, right? So they've got the money to spend now. It's not like when we were young and it was all kids hoping their daddy would give them money.
Go for it, Pat.
It's funny because I read an article not too long ago that actually spoke. I forgot where it was. If I remembered, I'd kind of quote it. But the reason why video games stayed $50 to $60 for so long, it has nothing to do with cost. It was purely because of a price memory issue. People were so used to paying $50, like between $49.99, American, Canadian, whatever it is, right? Somewhere between $49.99 and $59.99 for a game, that for a decade, the price of a game from PS1 all the way to, I think, the end of the 360 era, it just never changed, right? Had nothing to do with the cost of making the game. If a game cost more to make, it was still priced at $49 or $59.99, purely because, like you guys were saying, it doesn't matter how much hours you got out of it. It was $60 Canadian a game. End of story. Brand new game, $60, right? Special edition gave you an art book and like a poster, $70, right? It wasn't until the PS4 generation that it went up $10, right? And I think what they're noticing now is that they can get away with it. Like the number of games haven't sold, number of games sold has not lowered, and all they're doing is making an extra $10. Now, granted, it costs an extra $10 to make, but that was never a factor 10 years ago.
And then including the other part with the elephant in the room is the microtransactions. Yeah, it's $80, but if you buy a 2K version with Kobe, it's like the special edition, the Mamba edition, it's like $100 plus you get like even Red Dead. There was 3 versions of Red Dead Redemption 2. You want a digital horse? Yeah, I do. That's not going to cost you $110.
Faster horse?
You want a faster horse? You want a gun? You want an exclusive skin? So the costs, Rob, to your point, it's hidden, but now it's going on a whole bunch of other things, which is why people have been upset.
It is weird, yeah. I think Rob's point is
there's a cult.
So,
and that's why there's a cult which John follows, which is Cyberpunk, which has said there's no microtransactions. The game is what it is, hours of enjoyment, and that's it. Why John has all this stuff. That is the undiscovered country, because every game now you have to pay for other stuff, whether it's even, when you look at Star Wars Battlefront 2, there were microtransactions in that game. It's to buy new skins. So everyone's trying to double dip, or in the basketball games where there's a slot machine that you had to, or cards that you had to pay for FIFA. So these are a thing that happens. So yeah, to your point, it's the money's going, but at the same time, it's sneaky, especially for your son who's probably buying stuff on Fortnite, even though it's a free to play game. It's not free to play.
He's buying skins. He's buying
I know. Trust me. I know.
How much do you think he spent on Fortnite?
Well, I can tell you. You give me like 5 minutes. I can look at all my credit card transactions. But, but
That
I
game
know.
was free, but it's
in all
probably
fairness,
cost you.
the money that he's earned,
Hmm.
and so he's just deducting it. He's reimbursing us. But I've had to tell him for Fortnite, there has to be a limit of how much that game is worth on a yearly basis.
But has he paid over $80?
Oh, for he's been playing that game for 3 years. For sure he has.
Okay,
$80, maybe even this year. But
But
that's what I'm saying.
interesting. It's a free game, right?
Deal.
Right, but that's what
free
I'm
game.
saying though, is that $80 for a year, that
Yeah.
justifies what we pay for a new game. 2018,
right.
like Pat and I said aside, you're generally only buying 1, maybe 2 games a year, right? So
Brand
I
new.
can
Brand
just
new.
There's been a
guys
lot of
are-
free to play games. There's a lot of free to play games that I play.
Sometimes.
What's that, Andre?
I said, 2 games a year. That's not gamers. Like I was buying like honestly,
I bought
I'd probably
this 2
say
days ago.
minimum 6.
That's
6
worth a lot of
a
money.
year
That's a lot of
minimum.
money.
But I have both consoles, so I guess that
That does change it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go back to this because when the Nintendo drops their stuff, we'll have a conversation about that again, and then we'll talk more about pricing. That will be a great conversation.
I'm wearing a Punch-Out shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys are all wearing Nintendo shirts. Look at this. This is
That's
freaking
right,
nice.
I'm
baby.
wearing a
Yeah,
Punch-Out
crazy.
shirt.
This
Yeah,
is
we can
Nintendo
see
is
all
king.
these conversations about everything goes back to Nintendo because they
Yeah.
are also the mafia upon mafia because they also control their own world. So
Tell you, man, I'm a sucker for Nintendo games and Nintendo special editions.
of course,
Mhm.
yeah. At least now they you can get refunds on their digital platforms because before you bought it, you're stuck with it. So at least Nintendo's a little bit of forgiveness. But
What? You can get a refund on a digital purchase now?
Yes, for Nintendo, they finally agreed to it.
I'm missing out. I should have switched to this Switch thing. Like
Come on
Tim's
board,
point-
John.
I've never had
Tim's
to do
point
that recently.
earlier-
I never buy anything online, but that's not the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
Switch is the best. Anyways, for mobile, like easy gaming. Okay, so John, Andre, where can they find you? Where can they? What's going on? Tell us.
Yeah, so Heroes World Online on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the YouTube, and you can contact us. I'm more than willing to ship some things out if you can't come to the store. Comics, toys, like Warhammer, whatever you need. Andre's got the physical location.
Yeah, so we are in Markham, Ontario, which is just outside of the GTA. It's Highway 7 and Warden. Lots of convenient parking, lots of other amenities in the plaza. So it's worth coming and check us out. We literally have a little bit of everything from comic books to art books to graphic novels, collectible card games, board games, miniature games, role-playing games, apparel, artwork, statues, you name it, we've got it. So come on out if you can, and you will be amazed.
The Instagram handle, John, for the store is
Yeah, it's Heroes World Online. Yeah, so you can contact me or us through any of those. Send us a message, Facebook, whatever. We'll
on
answer
the
back.
website, on Instagram, on and on the email address for sales at
Yeah, sales.heroesworld, HEROES, world@gmail.com. But
There we
whatever's
go.
convenient for you, we'll find the message.
Pat can be found gallivanting in the store from here in time, but
I stay
that
off
is-
social media still. I'm too busy playing these single-player video games.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
cracking packs with us on the YouTube, talking about the new Magic that's coming out this week. So it's
Yeah,
pretty hot stuff.
There will be a time when we'll talk about Magic, so that will come up future. Tim, where can we find you on the interwebs?
0391-6437-3422. That's my Nintendo Switch friend code.
Whoa! Wow, I still
Yeah.
remember my
Memorized.
ICQ code. I
Memorized.
don't remember my friend code. I can jolt out my ICQ code for all the old fogies out
Nice.
there.
I don't even remember my postal code right now.
Well, that's not a surprise, John. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I still remember my student ID from university. But other than that, I got nothing.
Whoa!
I got nothing. And social media, we can find you at
XX
2X.
_ Timbo Slice _XX. Thank
awesome.
you.
Rob, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram is at Rob Gadet, and then I think every Tuesday, John and I are doing live in the evenings on
Except
Facebook
when
and on
you go
YouTube.
on Mondays.
What's that? Sorry.
Except when you go on Mondays.
Yeah, sometimes we go on Mondays and we forget what day it is.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes, yeah, whatever. Just follow along on the Heroes World Facebook page, and you'll get like a 4-hour advance notice. It's also on YouTube Live if you wanted to do that, or on Facebook. So there you go.
So the too long didn't read synopsis of this episode is buy the if
PS5.
you're new to gaming, buy the Microsoft S
Yes.
version for your kiddies. But if you are a true gamer, it's a toss-up. Xbox, PlayStation, decide what
Extra
you
the
want.
5.
That's pretty much the answer to that one.
And reach out to the store for Pat to see if you can sell him his. He can sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking bids on my
The
pre-order.
live auction goes now.
The impassioned conversation with Andre saying we should give, and then Pat is like, I have a secret PlayStation that I can sell. Guys, just let me know if you want. It's brilliant. Andre was going all at it, and Pat's like,
It would have been funnier if I was right after him.
I wanted to, there's a little boy. Anyways, but and before we leave, congratulations to Tim again. Awesome. Congratulations. Married recently. Super excited for you. Don't listen to Rob. Whatever you do.
I think he meant that in general. Nothing to do
Yeah,
with
whatever
weddings.
you do.
Oh,
Just
okay,
don't
well,
listen
that
to
makes
Rob.
Listen to
sense.
Rob.
Just general good advice.
General good advice. Don't listen to Rob, and things will work out smashingly. So congratulations to you and your lovely new wife. It's super awesome to hear. Anyway, so thank you all for listening. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Comment below on the message whether you want an Xbox or PlayStation. Three Jokers. Watch
Oh,
that
yeah.
on,
Three Jokers.
Three Jokers. Comment below what you want. And again, have a good one. Thanks, guys.
All
You
right.
guys.